Hello YouTube, and thank you again for watching Skatunenetwork, but not only thank you for watching, but thank you for subscribing and supporting this channel. This channel has been going for 2.5 years now, and when I made my first video back in December of 2016, I had no idea that I could reach 50,000 subscribers. So to all of you, I want to say thank you very much and helping me keep ska alive. To say thank you for 50,000 subscribers, I am doing a Q&A, which I had a Google form set up for about a week now, and originally this was supposed to be for 40,000 subscribers, but I was on the road with my band We Are The Union, and by the time I had got home, which is yesterday, I hit 50,000. So it's been a very good week for Skatunenetwork, and once again, thank you very much. Before we get started on these questions, I just want to say for all of you to follow me on my social media, which is linked below. I do post a lot of cool things on all of my different social media: Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Snapchat. All of that is worth following, so if you have it, go ahead and click all those follows in the description. Also, make sure you're checking me out on Patreon. I'm going to be talking a lot about Patreon in this video, but Patreon is why this channel is able to keep going, and right now I have many people who are giving very generous donations on Patreon, and to all of y'all, I say thank you so much. But if you have not yet, check out the Patreon. I have a lot of cool things like Discord coming very, very soon, early access, you can get audio files to download, and a lot more cool things like Patreon requests and such and such and so on and so on. But without further ado, let's get going on these questions. All right, so the way I'm doing this is I basically broke down the type of questions I got. I got a lot of questions about food. I got a lot of questions about favorite stuff. I got a lot of questions about drum corps and stuff like that. So I basically just broke it down into groups, and all the stuff that really didn't fit a group, I put it into general questions. So general questions: where did you get the Streetlight Manifesto flag? I got the Streetlight Manifesto flag at a Streetlight Manifesto show. I never buy merch from a band anywhere but the band themselves. And if I do, it's very unlikely, but sometimes I buy from the labels. But it's best to support bands by giving them your money directly. If you want to see these flags, why don't you guys do something like tweet at Streetlight Manifesto and say, "I saw your flag in a Skatunenetwork video. Take them on tour," or take Skatunenetwork's band We Are The Union on tour, or take both on tour and restock the flags on that tour. That'd be really cool. Can you put your covers on Spotify? What do you need in order to put your songs on platforms like Apple Music and Spotify? Do you plan to add these on Spotify? That would be killer. Listen, I know everyone wants my covers on Spotify, but right now it's just not economically feasible. It's listed in my Patreon why it's not economically feasible. I'm not going to go too into detail about that, but the TLDR of that is doing what I'm doing is so expensive. It's so time consuming. I was able to do this full time because it started making enough money to like cover my expenses, and my job at the time was cutting my hours, but I never realized how much work would be going into this when I went into it. And right now, between freelancing on compositions and stuff like that, between teaching music lessons and marching band, and between YouTube, I make enough to barely stay afloat. That's paying rent, that's paying for food, that's paying for expenses of, you know, whatever comes up, things break, maintaining my trombone, saxophone, trumpet, keyboard, guitar, bass, pretty much all of this stuff. But not only that, I also have to maintain musical equipment. So I have like my interface, which I'm doing all the recording, like my microphone, the stand that it's sitting on, the stand that this camera is sitting on, my camera lens, batteries go bad, chargers get lost, chargers break, my laptop, I just had to buy a new laptop charger. So all of this is really expensive to do, and it costs a lot of money to get covers onto streaming platforms. It's not like uploading regular music. You have to go through certain licensing, and I'm not risk getting sued for a lot of money because I just decided to upload my stuff without the proper licensing. So if I'm doing it right. And the world we live in, it costs money to exist. So in order to get my music up on streaming platforms, it's listed in my Patreon. I have a goal. Once I make that 1,000 a month goal on my Patreon, that's when I'll start uploading covers onto streaming platforms in like kind of groups like albums, like Ska Goes Emo, video game covers, etc., 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 etc. And some people have been asking like, that's such a high goal. I'm like, well, I mean, not really. Have you ever like, I don't know, paid rent and bought your own food, or do you like live at home and not understand how finances work. And it's a thing that needs to be maintained. So like if I get to 1,000 and upload my streaming and then for whatever reason half my subscribers go, all right, bye, and then my Patreon goes from 1,000 to like 500 a month, I'm not going to continue uploading covers because it continues to cost money to do all this. It's an operation and I need that support. I have 50,000 subscribers. There should be enough people who are willing to help support Skatunenetwork in the sense that this can be something that I can do because I'm an artist and it sucks. It costs money to survive. It costs money to do all these things, and I just can't not make money while doing this. So that's like the breakdown of the Spotify thing. Can we start a GoFundMe to get you better streaming equipment? Vertical cell phone is painful to watch, and it doesn't do you justice. I will argue with that because I've had several dozen people tell me that they've started listening to We Are the Union through the cell phone feeds that I've done. If I do get better streaming equipment, which like streaming is something I would love to do, but again, it's not feasible. I still have to take care of instruments. I still have to pay rent. I still have to pay bills. Like all of that is primary. If you're gonna make a GoFundMe, I'm using that money to fix my instruments. I'm not getting streaming equipment before with a broken trombone. Like that's not happening. But if you want to support, just, support Patreon. And the more I get all of my stuff fixed, that's when I'm going to start getting all the things like new streaming equipment, better microphones, better instruments, so my stuff sounds better. That's all plans that I have for the future. But yeah, I would argue that the live streams aren't doing me any justice because a lot of people have been listening to We Are the Union because of those live streams. And like whenever I do live stream, I get a consistent like 20 to 30 people watching, which is pretty high to keep up for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. So I think the live streams are fine for what they are. This isn't a live streaming thing. If I was only live streaming, I would get that. But I think people like it. But it's something I definitely do want to upgrade. About how long does it usually take to arrange these songs into ska versions? About how long does it take? So it could take anywhere from between like 3-4 hours. I believe that's how long it took me to make Damn It, which was the fastest cover I ever done. And it could take anywhere up to 3 to 4 weeks, which I did a Blue Coats like drum corps medley. And that literally like took me 3 or 4 weeks to go through 40 minutes of music, find what would work as ska, originally arranged for a drum corps, and rearranging that for like a ska punk arrangement. That was very hard to do, learning all the parts. I don't think I'm ever gonna do something that intricate ever again. But yeah, the Spirited Away cover I did as well, that took about a week and a half. A lot of like the instrumental stuff that's the ones that take longer. The vocal stuff is a little easier. Sometimes it depends on how the vocal range and everything is. Sometimes those take longer as well. But on average, it takes about, I want to say, on an average video, a day or two. Like my work day normally is like 11 a.m. to 7 p.m. I spend working on a cover, and I'll normally do 1 or 2 days on a single cover. So yeah, that's how long it takes. Are you pleased with the pup video and that you're featured in? What was that like? Yes, I am very pleased with that. I actually have a little certificate back there and a little flag, and I got a shirt from Pup. So thank you, Pup, for sending me that as one of the winners of your thing. Pup is an awesome band. I would love to see them. I've never seen Pup before. Wow. I have never seen Pup before, but I'm seeing them soon in Atlanta. That's gonna be a lot of fun. I hope that band sees this thing and sees me saying thank you. So thank you, Pup. What is drum corps? So to put this in like the most condensed form I possibly can, imagine regular marching band. Okay, I'm gonna let my cat out real quick. Go, get out, get out. All right, whatever. She just watched me open the door. All right, what is drum corps? In the most condensed and simple form possible, imagine high school marching band is like high school football, what's there. College marching band is like college football. So like you have the NFL. Well, what do you have for the NFL? Now think of Drum Corps International, DCI. That is a nonprofit organization that is of the activity of drum corps. Now what is drum corps? Drum corps is basically it's a marching activity in which different groups compete with each other all season at several competitions in which they're judged off of their proficiency and how well everyone is doing everything the same. And these are typically a bunch of kids between the ages of 15 and 22 all marching together, and they travel all summer long pretty much performing the same show and making the show better and better as the summer goes on. So this normally starts mid-May, and on the second weekend of August, everyone meets up in Lucas Oil Stadium in Indianapolis and has the Grand National Championship, in which one person is declared, like first place for the entire season of the year. So yeah, that's pretty much what drum corps is. You can definitely just look up like Drum Corps International, DCI. I marched with a group called the Bluecoats in 16 and 17. So you can just look up Downside Up Bluecoats or Jagged Line Bluecoats. I was a soloist in both shows. Well, I was in a feature in Downside Up, but I had 2 solos in Jagged Line. It was really cool. Drum corps is a very like high level, high intensity. You have like really talented people who go off to do great things a lot of the time out of drum corps, and it teaches a lot of discipline and stuff like that. So it's a really cool activity. What's your favorite DCI show? Favorite DCI show? They're all Bluecoats shows. Sorry, I'm that person, but honestly, in my opinion, I marched Bluecoats because I love the corps. I don't love the corps because I marched Bluecoats. If I never saw Kinetic Noise, I would have never marched drum corps. So yeah, that's the first thing. The second thing I want to say is Session 44. I love that show so much. It made me so angry that I aged out when I did, but it was also so great seeing that show being performed by all of my friends that I marched with, or a lot of friends that I marched with. And yeah, I love Session 44. And Bluecoats 2010 Metropolis. That show is so incredible. It's so undermined. I think at the time it definitely got a lot of recognition. It was the first show that Bluecoats meddled with. If you could see any drum corps show live, which one would you choose? I would probably choose either Metropolis, like I just said. I love that show, and like I saw Kinetic Noise live. I saw Session 44 live, so I guess Metropolis would be the next thing. Or maybe like Phantom 2008, like Spartacus. I know that's such a bando commando answer, but that show looks like it was very hyped to see on finals. And I would also see Star of Indiana 93 live. I feel like that's also such a bando answer, but Star of Indiana was like really good, and I would love to see that drum corps live. All right, cool. Let's move on to some background type questions. So these are questions that are basically like about my history and who I am and how I got to the place I am. So yeah. What got you into ska punk? What bands made this genre your thing as far as music is concerned? So definitely Less Than Jake what got me into ska punk. I found them through the Digimon movie, and that movie kind of was one of a few things that shaped who I am as far as like what music I like. And Less Than Jake, I was super into that band. They had like this 90s pop punk sound, and I used to love that when I was younger. I mean, I still kind of do. But they also had horns, and horns were like the selling factor to me, especially as a band kid. I was like, what? Music that I play, or instruments that I play, but it's not classical or jazz? This is incredible. Why doesn't everyone like this? It has everything I need. Where did your love for music of ska come from? That's where it came from. How did you get to be so damn talented? I thank you. I just practice a lot. Yeah, doing drum corps, like piggybacking on that. Drum corps is an activity in which you're very regimented, and it's like, you know, we'll literally spend 4 hours on like a 15-second part of our show. You know, it's like, all right, guys, let's do set 81 through 84. So we'll march through like the 4 sets, and then we'll be like, all right, trumpets, that was, you know, not where it needs to be. We'll go back, we'll do it again for like hours. And like that type of discipline is why you watch a drum corps show at the end of the season and you're like, wow, that's like pristine. It's pristine because we rehearse it like that over and over again. And I've taken that practice and I've put it into everything. When I get home to practice trombone, I rehearse making a good sound on an F over and over and over again. It's not impressive, but those little things is what makes the big things better overall. It's working the fundamentals. So I guess that's how I'm so talented. I just work with the fundamentals a lot. What long-term career goals do you have? Long-term career goals. So I've always wanted to be a musician ever since high school, like early high school. And I'm gonna talk about this on a later question. But long-term career goals, I definitely wanna like write music for a TV show or for a movie. I study music composition. I'm already working on commissions for like short films and stuff like that. So the goal is to just like land a gig writing music for a TV show. I mean, like Jeff Rosenstock is writing for Craig of the Creek. That's pretty awesome. So yeah, hopefully another Cartoon Network show will want ska music in the background, and Jeff Rosenstock won't just capitalize the ska game on TV. What inspired you to start YouTube, specifically turning normal songs into ska songs? So originally I used to do these multi-tracking videos where it'd be like 9 of me playing trombone and euphonium to covers of songs. Most of those multi-tracks I've re-recorded as ska covers, but those were all on my Facebook. And then one day on Christmas 2016, I just did a ska cover of a Christmas song. Everyone loved it. The reason why I didn't initially start doing ska covers is because I initially did not have a way to record everything. And I used to do the multi-tracking like on my phone and then on my camera. And then once I got an interface and like Logic on my computer, I was finally ready to do a full recording. And yeah, that's pretty much how the ska covers came to be. Let's see, what's the other half of the question? Oh, inspired to start YouTube. Oh yeah, they were doing really well on Facebook. And then I don't know if y'all know Insane in the Rain Music. Incredible YouTube channel, go check it out. The dude just makes like jazz covers of video game songs. And I've always loved YouTube channels like that. And like that's something I've always wanted to do. So I just started putting them on YouTube. People started liking, people started subscribing. I did a World Diz cover and then the World Diz shared it. I gained 2,000 subscribers in a day. I thought that was big. And then I did the Me channel and then I gained like 20,000 subscribers in a day. And then yeah, it's really cool. So first instrument you ever learned to play and what age did you begin? Trumpet. I was a 6th grader. That was 2006. I was born in 95, so that makes me 11 years old when I first started playing music. And it was the trumpet because my brother played trumpet in band 2 years before me, but he quit after a year. What is one thing you wish you were taught in school? I wish I was taught in school that you don't need school. And what do I mean by that? I mean that like as a musician, and this is only speaking as a musician because I have really no credibility to speak anywhere else. I did drum corps with a lot of music majors. A lot of people who went to school 4 or 6, sometimes 8 years studying music, and they're like, yeah, once I get out of school, I have this nice music degree, I'm gonna get all the jobs. They get out of school, no one wants to hire them. No one wants to hire them because they don't have experience. Me, on the other hand, I was in and out of community college for like 5 or 6 years, and I finally got my AA. Yes, first person in my family to ever get their AA. And yeah, I'm really proud of that, and I'm really glad I did that. And I did learn a lot of things in college, and I'm not saying it was a waste of time, because it wasn't. But the jobs and gigs that I'm getting now are all because of people I've met throughout the days, and I used to play shows a lot, and I made a lot of connections both like in the drum corps community and the punk rock community and stuff like that. And I just did what I loved, and I still practice, you know, and I taught myself. And a lot of people say like it doesn't matter how much you teach yourself, a degree is what matters. If you're a doctor, yeah, you need a degree to like do surgery on somebody. That like I wouldn't let someone without a degree do surgery on me. But for making music, art is completely different. It's more who you know, not what you know. So I wish that's something that they would teach you musicians more in school. What would you say is your main instrument? Trombone. I studied trombone in college. I've been playing trombone since 10th grade. Yes, it's definitely my main instrument, and you could definitely tell like on the proficiency. Anyone who plays music can hear the proficiency of me on trombone versus every other instrument and can tell that trombone, I think bass is the only other instrument where like you kind of can't tell which is my main one, bass or trombone. But every other instrument I'm not that tight on. First instrument you learned to play, trumpet. What bands, artists were your first musical influences? So for ska, definitely Less Than Jake. Less Than Jake was my favorite band for so many years. I think like in 7th grade when I first discovered them, all the way until like 2011 when I discovered We Are The Union. Then We Are The Union was my favorite band up until 2015, in which I joined them. So then my favorite ska band from 2015 forward is a split between Kill Lincoln, the Bruce Lee Band, and Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra. Those 3 bands, if you do not listen to those 3 bands, you just stop what you're doing. Stop this video and go check them out. They're incredible. As far as not ska though, as far as like classical and other stuff, like again, I'm studying to make music for TV shows. Joe Hisaishi from Hayao Miyazaki, all of his movies, he like, oh, those soundtracks are incredible. He has so much music just on YouTube of him just playing piano, and like I know it's so like everyone loves Miyazaki. Everyone loves like hearing that stuff, chill beats to relax, study to, always remix his songs. But like I've loved his stuff like for years. Like literally I wanted to be a director, I want to be an animator, I want to be a storyboard artist, and I wanted to be a musician, and I had no idea which one to pick. And when I found his music, I was like, this is so beautiful. I want to do music. I want to create the emotions that these movies would lack without Joe Hisaishi's music. And the same thing goes for Ivy and Slash, who do the music for Steven Universe. In case you couldn't tell, I really love Steven Universe. And yeah, again, same thing with them. They both create this emotion in the music that without it, the show wouldn't be as powerful. What all instruments can you play? What instruments can't I play? I can play so many instruments. So like, obviously everything you see in my videos. But on top of that, other brass instruments I can play. Like I can play tuba. Euphonium is one of my strongest instruments actually. So the question is, what qualifies as playing an instrument? If you qualify making a sound, and being able to play most of the notes, then yeah, I can play a lot of instruments. I can play tuba, I can play mellophone, I can play violin and viola. I actually played violin and viola in orchestra in high school as well as double bass. So I can play cello too because I can figure that much out. I can make sounds on flute and play like a few scales, but I've never had a flute long enough to like play one. But if you constantly like if you qualify, like you need to be able to read music and you need to be able to like, you know, I guess pick up a gig on said instrument, then pretty much mostly in Skatunenetwork is all I can play. But like there's so many similarities between like mandolin and ukulele and like stuff and banjo. Like it's all the same thing, just different tunings. Like so I don't know. Like the more instruments you learn to play, the more you realize it's all the same. Like I can play marimba and vibraphone. Like I can definitely figure songs out and play stuff, but as someone put music in front of me, I would have trouble reading it. So, you know, it's that gray area of like, what can you play? Like, I don't like that question anymore. These might have been asked already, so I ask a few. What is your first ska band? So first ska band that I joined was called the Eskamos, and we were terrible. But it's on YouTube if you want to go look it up or something like that. And then first ska band I ever formed was called Funkman's Inferno. It was a bunch of us from jazz band in high school, and we lasted a while, 6 years, and we had a full-length record out. And honestly, most of that record still sounds pretty good. Funkman's Inferno, the record's called Hometown Rival. It's on Bandcamp. You can just Google that and find it. It's not that hard. We also used to play, both bands played at the Talent Farm, so if you just Google the name followed by Talent Farm, YouTube videos will come up. Yeah, we were like powerhouse ska band in South Florida, and then the local DIY like scene. It was really, really cool. I was thinking about doing like a video series in which I rewrite ska songs from when I was in high school. So if that's something that sounds interested, definitely let me know in the comments below. I would definitely be so stoked to just kind of do like a whole video series of me just like on my computer, like listening back to these songs, like what was I thinking? All right, let's rewrite this thing so it sounds really good. Some more general questions now. That's pretty much all of the like background type questions. Why are you so great? Why are you so great? Thank you. When are you playing Philly again? My band, We Are the Union, literally just played Philly like 2 weeks ago. We don't know the next time we're going to Philly. We live in 4 different states: California, Texas, Florida, and Detroit, all over the place. So we don't like play too much. We're not like inactive. We definitely play a lot. Like last year we played California 7 times. We did that tour through a Big Fish. We do weekenders pretty much regularly. So we don't know the next time we're playing Philly though. Like we just played there and there was so much work doing these shows, but they turned out really well. So hopefully we play sometime soon. I wish we could just play every market like all the time. That would be awesome. Do you play weddings? I would definitely play a wedding as long as like it could cover the costs and like, you know, I am a musician. I do gig for a living as well. So like as long as it covers costs and stuff like that, I don't see why I wouldn't want to play a wedding. Ood, what's up, dude? I don't know what that means, if that's a reference to something. I guess I'm old. Is that Gen Z talk? Millennials saying Gen Z is so funny, am I right? Hit or miss. Where'd you get that shirt you were wearing in the Green Hill Zone video? That was the Hawaiian shirt. Where did I get that shirt? I thrifted it. So pretty much most of my clothes are thrifted. I rarely buy things in stores. I buy my pants in stores because I just can't find pants that fit my attributes in a thrift store. I try my hardest to, and I've only thrifted 1 pair of pants and 2 pairs of shorts that fit me well. I've been thrifting for like 5 years too. Like this is thrifted. Thrifting is good not only because do stuff look really good, but also because we live in a country where you're taught to produce and consume and then create waste. And we need to stop doing that. Our earth is dying. I didn't mean for this to take a huge environmental left turn, but we don't need to be buying new clothes. Like thrift as much as you can. If I'm buying new clothes, I'm supporting artists and I'm making sure it's as fair trade as possible. Like most band merch, honestly, if it's printed on Gildan at this point, I'm probably not gonna buy it. Print on Bella Canvas. That stuff is fair trade. It's much better quality too. If you had the opportunity to play a show in Canada, would you? Absolutely, I would love to play Canada. The problem with playing Canada is I need to get my passport renewed, and on top of that, I really don't book anything. Like We Are the Union, I don't book that. So we do plan on going to Canada anytime, sometime soon. And I need to get my passport renewed sometime soon, but that's a thing called money, which I do not have. Would you be interested in coming to Colombia? We have a pretty good scene here. We would love to see I'd love to have someone as talented as you. By the way, congratulations. Thank you so much. I would love to go to Colombia. If I had it my way, I would play absolutely everywhere. I'm a firm believer that all the neglected markets need attention, but at the same time, I'm not saying neglected because I don't think Colombia is a neglected market. It's just hard for people from America to go there, which is segueing into why it's not possible to always go everywhere. It's just expensive and really hard. Like coordinating, like We Are the Union. We're a smaller band for a ska band. I'm the only horn player, and then there's two guitarists, bassist, and drummer. Now, figure like our drummer can't fly with his whole drum set. Our bassist can't fly with the, 4x12 or even 8x12 bass rig. Our guitarists can't fly with a huge amp. Like they need flight cases. I believe we only have one flight case out of the whole band. And so that brings up the issue with bands traveling internationally. It's so expensive to do that. How are we getting our merch over there? That's expensive. And then getting all the gear over. So like we would love, in a perfect world, going to Colombia is as easy as getting on a plane, getting off, and playing the show. But I'm the only person with a compact instrument, and I don't even have a flight case for my trombone. And if it goes under the plane, it will get damaged. I've flown 60 times with my trombone in the last 3 years. Out of those 60 times, 5 times I've been forced to check. Out of those 5 times, 4 times they've come out damaged. So that's pretty high numbers as far as the instrument being damaged. And it's just money. It's hard. But we are talking about doing international stuff soon. So hopefully Colombia will be somewhere we go. All right. So here are some questions that are like, what are your favorite this? What are your favorite that? Favorite Streetlight song? A Blonde Lead the Blind. I love that song so much. That trumpet solo is so beautiful at the end. I don't know, it's just so good. And I'm really salty because I went to Streetlight's last shows at the Starland Ballroom in 2013, last shows. And they played every single song that band has ever written except for the Blonde Lead the Blind, and I'm still salty about it. What is the best part about Skatunenetwork for you? The best part about Skatunenetwork for me, honestly, is when people message me or when people talk to me. Like sometimes I try to respond as much as I can, but sometimes social media gets overwhelming because it's all I do at this point. But whenever people go to like the We Are the Union shows and talk about Skatunenetwork or just talk about it in general, like I remember being 15, 16 years old and like Less Than Jake was my favorite band, and like seeing them live and stuff like that was always just like the best feeling. And like if it wasn't for like seeing those ska bands live when I was like in high school, I would have not gotten involved in DIY punk. And if I never got involved in like DIY punk, my life would not be where it is right now. Like I know it's kind of corny to say like I probably wouldn't be here right now, but honestly I probably would not be here right now without that, without creating the family and the bond and like the growing as a person that I have experienced in DIY punk. All that is because of like, Less Than Jake was by proxy the reason why all of that happened, and that band is super important to me. And so I know for like a lot of people message me things and I see it and they say things like Skatunenetwork has like, I've discovered We Are the Union because of that, and Self-Care has really helped us. That Self-Care was our last record. And they say things like Self-Care has really helped me get through a lot of depression recently, or they'll say like your videos give me so much joy, I look forward to it, and things like that. And like whenever I get messages like that, it makes me feel really, really good. That's my favorite part because like, I don't know, there's a quote by something I've seen on Tumblr a lot where like a punk rock song will never change the world, but I can name a few that's changed me. And like, if you think about the concept, I'm gonna get a little existential for a second, but if you think about the concept of the world, there's like 2 concepts. And I'm pretty sure this is something I haven't discovered, but there's a concept of everything that exists. So you don't know everything that exists. I don't know everything that exists, but there are things that exist. It's like the tree fell in the forest. It did make a sound because that's how the world works. It exists. It's over there. And then there's the idea of everything we perceive. Like if you think about it, every single human mind is its own world because inside of our mind, no one else can see that but ourselves. And so one person can definitely make an impact on one other person. So if you think about it, one person really can change the world. What world you're changing is up to debate, but I know that my music is affecting people and changing their worlds, hopefully for the positive for the most part. And because I know there's many musicians out there in which they've changed my world. So yeah, that's my favorite part. Who are your favorite musical artists? By the way, love you in the Blue Coats. All right, so this is a hard question for me to answer because I listen to so much music, but I recently made one of those things where it's like, hey, let's take your Spotify data and probably more data that you don't want us to take, and let's make it into a fake festival lineup. So that's on my story right now on Instagram, and this is my lifetime Spotify streams. So throughout all of my time having Spotify from 2011 to now, it's taken all that data that it's collected and made a music festival where the lead headliner is We Are the Union, the band that I play in. And that's mainly because they were my favorite band before I joined. Then the next is Less Than Jake and The Wonder Years, which I don't listen to either of those bands that much anymore, but that just shows how much I used to listen to them in high school. And then Karakura, Bonito, Tancred, Roswell Kid, all sound good. And then the rest of these bands, honestly, I would not even list as like bands that I listen to a lot. The bottom few, A Great Big Pile of Leaves, Lemuria, Gouge Away, Really From, Wolfpack, Slingshot Dakota. I would definitely list all of those because like those are bands I listen to a lot now, but they can't compete with like long term. And then, let's see, of the last 6 months, and I will agree with all of these bands. The Bruce Lee Band, Tancred, Bad Moves, Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra, Retirement Party, Gouge Away, Just Friends, Charlie Bliss, The Flaming Tsunamis, Tired Lion, The Promise Ring, Lemuria, Christian Scott, Pool Kids, Really From, Less Than Jake, which was already listed before, The Scatolites, Jeff Rosenstock, Hepcat, The Best of the Worst, Hop Along, Insane in the Rain Music, and Roswell Kid. Yeah, I think those are all bands that I pretty much listen to a lot right now. Those are definitely some of my favorite musical artists, but two that were not listed that I'm thinking of right now is Joe Hisaishi and Ivy and Slash, who are two huge inspirations for me. Which type of covers do you enjoy making the most? Pop/punk, TV theme, video game music. I think video game music, because video game songs are so far connected from the structure of a regular pop song or a regular punk song, and it's the idea of taking this song that's meant to infinitely loop forever and giving it like a beginning and a middle and an end and how to figure out how to solo over it and changing the vibes up. So I think video game covers, I think those are the biggest challenge is why I like them the most. What's your favorite dessert? I really love vegan cinnamon buns. Are just so good. I've never had a vegan cinnamon bun that has been less than stellar. Let's see. Also, what slow cooking recipes would you recommend? Chili. Chili is really good slow cooking recipe. It's super spice heavy. I love spice heavy stuff. That or curry. Making a good curry, which is like you just literally get coconut milk and curry powder and like turmeric and whatever other seasonings you want. Just let it like anything like curry or chili. Just let it sit and marinate in its juices. That stuff tastes so good. Rubik Fish versus Less Than Jake. Less Than Jake for sure. Blink versus Green Day. Green Day for sure. Fall Out Boy versus My Chemical Romance. My Chemical Romance. Yeah, I mean, all those bands are great. But yeah, those are the choices that I would make for sure. What type of ska, first wave, two-tone, ska punk do you prefer? I personally prefer ska punk. I really like ska punk that leans on the punk side. That's probably why We're the Union and Less Than Jake were two of my favorite ska bands. I've also really loved the Flaming Tsunamis, their ska core. But I also really love first wave as well. Like the Scatolites, Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra does a lot of first wave, Hepcat. All ska is really good. Like the genre is so versatile. Favorite ska band and or song? So I already said the ska band thing. And song, honestly, I can't pick songs. I don't really listen to individual songs. I listen to records mostly front to back. If I had to pick favorite records though, Everything Will Be Alright, My Friend by the Bruce Lee Band, Walk In by the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra, the Slapstick self-titled, That's Totally Cool in a Negative and Destructive Way by Kill Lincoln, A Hella Rock View, Less Than Jake. Those are all tight, very solid records. Obviously known for doing ska covers of non-ska songs, but which artist would you most like to see do a non-ska cover of one of your band songs? This is probably my favorite question so far. I would love to, if it's We're the Union, which is like Reed's music, but you know, whatever, band that I'm definitely in and part of. If it was like We Are the Union, I would love to see Charlie Bliss do a cover because Reed loves Charlie Bliss. And I can hear Charlie Bliss's songwriting influence in Reed's music. So I would definitely want to hear like Charlie Bliss do a We Are the Union song. I would definitely love to hear Ivy and Slash from Steven Universe do a We Are the Union song, like to see them do like a chiptune classical piano jazzy rendition of a ska song. That'd be really cool. I would love to see like Hepcat or the Scatolites do like a trad version of a We Are the Union song. Or something like that. I would love to see, I think that's it. Oh, Carly Rae Jepsen. I would love to see Carly Rae Jepsen do a pop version. That'd be awesome. I stand Carly Rae Jepsen so hard, as we all should. What is your all-time go-to song for when you need to get hyped up? Mine is Roller Coaster by Blink-182. So once again, I don't really have like songs, but I do have a record. And that record is the Kill Lincoln's That's Totally Cool in a Negative and Destructive Way, I believe is the name of that record. Whenever that record comes on when I'm like driving, I don't know, I go from like going 70 on the highway to going like 90, and I'm like, this record gets me hyped. If I'm ever falling asleep, I put that record on. So I think that's my answer. What is the first album you remember buying? I think it's Pezcore by Less Than Jake. It's either Pezcore or Hello Rockview. I can't remember. It was definitely one of the two though. Moser, Chipotle. If you could rewrite a theme song for any cartoon show, what would you pick and why? Regular Show, because it just doesn't have a theme song. It's just like a synth bass thing. And I feel like Regular Show is definitely characters around my age, like mid-20s. And I could, like, honestly, like, I feel like that show would have such a really cool 90s, like, theme song, like a 90s alternative rock or 90s, like, you know, like ska. And I really feel like both of those would fit very well as a theme song to that show. What is your favorite song? If you could pick one, 5 would you? I already did the records. I guess that's the best. I could do. Oh, you didn't say ska though. So I'm gonna do 5 records that aren't ska because I did do 5 ska records before. Really From. Verse is the album by the band Really From. Busybody Lazy Bones by Woolbright. Burnt Sugar by Gouge Away. Music to Practice Safe Sex To by Pool Kids. And Nothing Feels Good by The Promise Ring. Honorable mention to Something to Write Home About by the Get Up Kids. I'm definitely forgetting a bunch of records, but those are the ones I'm going with right now because they're the first ones to pop into my head. What is your favorite animal at the zoo? Trick question. I hate zoos. Zoos are... animals are not here for us to keep in captivity, for our personal enjoyment. What bands have you seen live and who was your favorite? I've seen so many bands live. I used to work at a venue for so many years, and I remember back in 2016, I went on Facebook, and I checked every Facebook event 2016 back to what I went to, and I counted 310 shows that I went to. That counts a lot of shows I did work at a venue, but 310 in 2016, and I go to shows so much. So that number is probably close to 500 now. I cannot begin to name the amount of bands I've seen live. Every poster you see on the wall, every sticker on my trombone case, I think I've seen more bands live than I haven't seen that I listen to, and I listen to a lot of music. That being said, favorite shows I've seen live, well, I definitely remember the Tank and the Bangus set I seen. Go check out Tank and the Bangus, super funky raps, very like, it's just one of a kind artist. Definitely check out that band. Streetlight Manifesto's last shows at the Starland Ballroom were phenomenal. Honestly, a lot of good sets at Fest, Fest in Gainesville. Like the first We're the Union set I ever saw was unforgettable. Also, the first Kill Lincoln set I ever saw, also unforgettable. So all I can really think of off the top of my head. Oh, I saw Japanese Breakfast recently. That set was really, really, really good. And there's a few Gouge Away sets. There's Gouge Away at Fest. Actually, there's a Gouge Away poster on my wall that was a picture taken, me in it, at that Fest set. That was phenomenal. Honestly, so many of my friends have just put on some of the best sets that I've ever seen. Support your local music because you'll never be surprised, or actually you will be very surprised at how many great bands are small and not big. More general questions. So, what do you think of metalcore? I like metalcore. I mean, I love the Flaming Tsunamis, and they're just like ska mixed with metalcore. I really like older metalcore. Newer metalcore, I'm also like fine with. I don't really care. I guess it's more of the culture of metalcore that I really don't like than the music itself. Like the cringy, douchey type stuff. Do you like Op Ivy? Yeah, I like Op Ivy. Why wouldn't I like Op Ivy? Do you think ska punk will ever be as big as it was back then? See, the thing is, I don't think it was that big back then. Just because it had commercial success doesn't mean it was necessarily like really big. Like, it was definitely big, and it's definitely struggling right now. But I think ska has been very like successful and very strong for the years following the third wave. As people say, like, ska died. Like, no, it really didn't die. Y'all just stopped paying attention to a lot of the bands that were doing great things. Now, because of that, I do believe a lot of bands just like stopped doing the thing because they're like, no one's supporting us. At least as the cost of living gets higher and higher and people stop supporting us less and less, like, how much can we do? That's just a huge debate, honestly. I feel like there's just a huge for ska in general, I've noticed, I feel like there's like a huge disconnect in like the DIY culture and the like DIY punk aspect of ska, at least third wave ska, and that being connected. So I feel like that's the only issue. And will that get bigger? Who knows? I think the huge part of also that getting bigger is a lot of people like always focus on, like, people are like, we need to talk about more music, and they're like, yeah, Rubik Fish, Less Than Jake, Streetlight Manifesto, blah 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 blah, and it's like, no, you need to stop focusing on these old bands. Like, yeah, they're great, you could always love and cherish them, but like, we have new generations of bands forming. Like, there are so, like, all my favorite bands are bands that are putting out music recently, especially like We're the Union was my favorite band for a while. Kill Lincoln is also one of my favorites. Catbite just formed and they're like kicking it. There was a band called Poor Jeremy that was awesome. So many good new bands. Like, we need to support these new bands as much as we're supporting these old bands. If everyone just keeps focusing on Keysby Nights, I swear we're never going to see a resurgence in this genre. Like, there's more to ska than just Keysby Nights. Your positivity is infectious. I'm grateful for your hard work. Thank you so much. Have you ever considered opening bookings as a guest speaker and a clinician. That would be awesome. I'm definitely not opposed to doing guest speaking and clinician work. If you really want to see that, like, hit me up. Definitely down to make something like that work. I don't know what I will talk about. I feel like I have a lot of things to talk about, but also nothing to talk about. Don't have a question, just you're a huge inspiration. I love everything you do. Keep being the best. Thank you so much. I really, really appreciate that. Seriously, these messages is what keeps me going. All right, so now these questions are gonna be on food and vegan stuff as well. What's one food item you could not live without, or you couldn't live without? Rice and beans. I know that's 2 items. I know that's against the question, but rice and beans is such a staple, iconic, cheap, affordable, delicious combination that it's like my go-to when I don't know what to make. Rice and beans. Rice, beans, you can pile up veggies on that. That's a meal no matter what, no matter where you are. You can get it anywhere. Super cheap and affordable. Love it so much. Will there be more Upbeat Eats in the future? Absolutely. Now, the thing about Upbeat Eats is one episode takes me up to a week's worth of time to make, and I'm putting out 2 videos a week. So I need to make sure I'm ahead on all of my videos and I have the time to make an episode of Upbeat Eats. So like, again, I don't want to take away from making ska covers to make Upbeat Eats. But the more people support me on like Patreon and stuff like that, and I'm relaying back to Patreon because it's very vital that I get that support to make this channel better. Because like the better gear I get, the faster I can knock out these covers and the more open time I will have. And also the less stress I have about finances, the more I'll be able to get up in the morning and not just have an anxiety attack over money. So yeah. Oh, what's the best sandwich you've ever had? That's a very hard question to answer. The first thing to come to mind, which I guess means it's the best, is I had a sandwich. Oh, no. Oh, my gosh. Another sandwich just came to mind. All right. I had a vegan Reuben somewhere. I think it was Chicago Diner, but I'm not entirely sure. But it wasn't Chicago, so I think it might have been Chicago Diner. Vegan Reuben. Oh, honestly, just vegan Reubens in general are like prime sandwiches. So what's your number 1 tip for folks just getting into cooking? Don't cook everything too hot. If you're going to like cook things in a pan, cook it at a medium heat, let the oil heat up. You can always splash some water into the pan. If it starts bubbling, that means the oil's hot enough to start frying things in. Cook at a medium temperature. It'll be all right. Experiment, use different seasonings. Upbeat Eats is trying to explain the basics of cooking or how I do it, because everything I do is super easy. I don't do anything intricate, but like that's the point of Upbeat Eats, to be simple. What made you go vegan and how long have you been vegan? A Ska fan and vegan too. I love seeing you combine my 2 loves on one channel. Thank you so much. Honestly, I get a lot of messages about vegans who like Skatunetwork. So I'm glad that like it's not just me making these videos, and like actually a lot of vegans are like into ska and a lot of ska people are into veganism. What made me go vegan? So like in high school, I always kind of knew I wanted to go vegetarian. I was in anatomy and my anatomy teacher showed us Food Inc. and stuff like that. And like I had McDonald's that same day because I was a little shithead. But also like something about me was like, you know, I would love to go vegetarian. But to me, it's like this was my will to go vegetarian. This was my will to give up everything that I know and love as far as eating food. And so I never really thought about it up until like I started getting into DIY punk. And like, you know, a lot of punks are vegetarian and vegan. Thanks, Earth Crisis. But yeah, definitely a lot of vegetarian veganism runs rampant in like DIY punk and a lot of those cultures and subcultures and communities. So as I started meeting more punks and started going to like vegan restaurants and like hanging out with vegans and seeing what they eat, I was like, my peaked interest. So like this was my interest of going vegan, kind of went up here, but I still didn't want to give everything up. And then I went to a vegan restaurant and I had a vegan dish that was so unreal. Like it was so good. And then like everywhere I went, that was like a vegan focused restaurant for like vegan junk food specifically, not like the health food. Like all of that was so prime. So I was like, are you telling me like this food is super affordable? It's easy to make because I started making it myself. And then I was like, and I can reduce my environmental impact and I can not have to use animals. I don't need meat. That's pretty much how it happened. I remember specifically, I think one of these questions is like, do you remember the exact moment? I was at Ethos Vegan Kitchen and I had a bite of a cheesesteak, which in retrospect is like not one of the best cheesesteaks I've had. I've had so many better vegan cheesesteaks since then, but the fact that one of the lesser good cheesesteaks made me say, wow, fuck me, I don't need this, is saying a lot, because like vegan food is very powerful and it tastes really good. And that cheesesteak was so cheap. So, can you fight Reed with mustard to determine the overall superior condiment? Mayonnaise cannot hold on its own. I'm sorry. You know what? I agree with you, but you know that meme of like the dude crying holding the gun and the caption's like, this is gonna be me ready to kill Tony Hawk when the race war starts. That's pretty much me with mustard pointing at Reed with like just a single tear going down my face, and like Reed is in mutual understanding. He'll understand. What's a good vegan dish to introduce someone into getting curious about veganism? I personally don't like the idea of using like the Impossible or Beyond Burger to introduce someone to veganism. If you're gonna introduce someone to veganism, introduce them with something like curry. Curry is used all around the world. Its spices make it so delicious. Its base is inherently vegan. At most they use like coconut milk and stuff like that. Like there's like chicken curry, but you can always just omit the chicken. Use chickpeas, use potatoes, use any veggies you want. Curry is so basic and fundamentally good. I think that's the way you need to go, because like there's this weird association that veganism is this like privilege and you need to have money and like it's invented recently. Like no, cultures have been vegan for thousands of years and most cultures are mostly plant-based. It's only really in like European cultures and American cultures where the use of meat is so heavy and people don't know. Like I've met people who never, like my brother had never had ginger until recently. It's like, you don't know what ginger is. I've met people who have never had basil. I've met people who have never had broccoli until they were like in their 20s. Like to me, that's scary. So like introduce people to like vegetables and how to cook them well, and like just find like a place that does like some nice like you know, Indian curry, and just get them some vegetable curry. I feel like that's the best way to get people started. It opens their horizon more to the possibilities, because like I feel like meat substitutes is like, this is meat, and then meat substitutes kind of stack on top of each other, like X, Y, and then the Z radius that makes it three-dimensional as far as the spectrum of food is all of the other like plants out there to make food. That's kind of how I think about it. When did you go vegan in specific meat? I think I already said that. I didn't say when though. It was March 2nd, 2015 was the day I had that cheesesteak that made me stop eating meat forever. If you had to associate one food with ska music, what would it be? So the meme answer in the ska group on Facebook would be mozzarella sticks, but I beg to differ. I'm going to say Jamaican curry. Why do I say Jamaican curry? Well, first off, Jamaican curry originated in Jamaica, just like ska music. Jamaican curry is also a type of curry. Curry is a mix of spices that is typically found all over the world, and it's kind of interesting. And curry is like this universal food, and I feel like ska is also kind of a universal music, both in the aspects that like its main goal is to just be like, originally main goal is to just be happy, but it's very versatile. You can pretty much fuse ska with so many other types of genres and still have that ska sound. And it just works so well. So, let's see. Any plans to make any desserts or baked goods on Upbeat Eats? Absolutely. I want to do that. Definitely the point of Upbeat Eats is to like make it very easy, and I don't want anything super complicated, and I want it to be like the everyday stuff. But you know, we also need to show ourselves some love and get some dessert. So I definitely want to do a dessert pretty soon. One of my friends works at a ice cream / like baked goods shop that's all vegan here in Gainesville, and we've talked about doing an episode of Upbeat Eats together. She also sings and has sung on 2 of my videos, Everybody Wants to Be a Cat and Escapism. So go check out those 2 videos. My friend Court is killing it. Some more general questions, and then I got just a few more questions. It looks like 15 more. Serious question, you don't got to answer if you feel uncomfortable. What are your pronouns / gender identity, and how has that, if at all, impacted your life as a musician? So my gender identity is non-binary, and I use they, them pronouns. And has it impacted my life as a musician? Yes, 100%, absolutely. And the reason why I say that is because like I've always been non-binary, and I just didn't understand, like, I don't know, our society teaches us you're either a man or you're a woman, and if you're a man, you do this, and if you're a man, you do that. And growing up, I just never really felt like I fit the ideas of what it's like to be a man, but I necessarily didn't feel like I fit the ideas of being a woman. And then as I like grew up and learned about non-binary people, I was like, wow, it's like you could just not like gender is fake. It's just a huge construct our like society forces on us, really. And so like I've always felt like that, and I feel like being like so aware and so disconnected from that, and then I see how people treat me because they code me as a man, but at the same time, by me being disconnected from that, and I can see how gender is like, and sex is so like embedded in our society, and I see the way other musicians are treated because people code them as a woman, or because they are a woman, or because people like misgender them or anything like that. To me, I feel like it's more of like, it affects me in the sense that I have a greater understanding on this stuff. I guess if that makes sense. I'm sorry. I feel like it doesn't unless you've experienced like gender and hating it. Are you gay? I'm not straight. And have you ever thought about playing a woodwind like the clarinet or flute? I would love to play clarinet or flute, like so much. I just don't have a clarinet or flute. If someone just wants to give me one, that would be awesome. I would definitely use them in my videos. I think flute goes well in ska. fight me. I play bass clarinet. Bass clarinet's one of my favorite instruments. Definitely one of my favorite woodwind instruments. That and bassoon. Is there any other cool queer ska kids like yourself? Yes, go check out the band Grey Matter. I don't know if they've released any music as their current lineup, but they used to like be a smaller band. They blew up into this huge ska band. They recently played with my band We Are the Union up in Michigan. They're from Lansing, I believe. They're playing Bloodfest, and yeah, they're like all queer, all super good people. Love them a lot. They're really, really, really cool. Do you think that queer representation in music, and more specifically ska, is important? Absolutely. I think representation in general is super important. We can't have everyone looking exactly the same in music. And I feel like when you have the problem with that is when every band is just like these like cis white dudes. First off, it creates a power dynamic in which these dudes are in bands that everyone looks like them. When I say looks like them, it just means like they're all men, they're all straight, they're all this, they're all that. Like it creates this power dynamic that like they look at a woman at a show and they think like they automatically assume like, oh, this woman is just like a fan. This woman obviously doesn't know as much as music because they don't play it type stuff. But not only that, it's just like discouraging for like anyone who's like a person of color, who is a woman, who is queer, being at a show and it's like people always say like, oh, you can separate politics from art. First off, this isn't politics. This is about being a person. And you can't separate that stuff because like a man can never write a song about what it's like being a woman. A cis person cannot write a song about the feelings of like gender and hating it. And like that's, I don't know, it's just important to have that type of like, you know, diversity. Like, and if you don't, you're just going to end up with a genre like pop punk in which every band just writes songs about a girl breaking their heart. And it's probably just the guy having a toxic, you know, behaviors. And the woman said, I've had enough of that. And then the guy's like, well, why is this girl a bitch? It's like, no. I don't know. I feel like that's why representation is important, to get more perspectives in art so we're not just seeing everything the same way. Who's your main in Smash? Mr. Game & Watch. Can we get a kickflip? I'm sitting. It's 1 a.m. I'm in my room. I don't have a skateboard. I'm sorry. We cannot get a kickflip. I don't know how to do a kickflip either. If I want to get into writing, so these are all like advice / questions about music. If I want to get into writing ska arrangements, where do I start? Honestly, to me, I don't really see a difference in like how I would write music. Like, just take the leads in the songs, and if it makes a good lead on another instrument, just transfer it over to horns. And make sure you're not losing what fundamentally makes ska ska. For me, 3 things do, like besides like the obvious like upstrokes. The bass and the drums have to be in sync. Like they have to groove together, and then the guitar has to fit right into that groove that they create. And when those are all grooving together, it creates like a danceable move, because like ska is a dancing music, and it can be fast or it can be slow. But like the point, that's why I'm always dancing in my videos, because like the music makes me dance. And if you lose that, in my opinion, then like you lose the meaning of the music. What is your process of determining horn melodies for your cover? Do you pull sheet music and lean towards music theory, or do you accompanies come naturally? So basically, I just try to take the main melodies in the song and make them into horn parts, like I said before. I feel like a lot of ska bands try to fit horns in every single nook and cranny of songs, and to me that's like overwhelming and kind of annoying. Like if there's a vocal melody doing this and then you put a horn melody doing this, they're just colliding with each other and it creates a lot of chaos. Like let the music breathe, let the vocal melodies sing something, and then like in between breaks in the vocals, throw a little horn part in there if you have to. You don't always have to. Miles Davis is a proficient jazz musician, and he revolutionized jazz in a way where he played solos and he would take breaks in his solos. He'll play a lick like ba ba da ba da da ba, take a break, ba ba da ba 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 da ba ba, ba 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 da, and like doing those breaks in the solos is what created this like contrast, this dynamic. So when he played, it slapped. So yeah, that's definitely a huge part. Don't try to overdo the horn parts. I don't use sheet music. I've never written sheet music except for the Me Channel intro, which I don't have that anymore, and the Over the Garden Wall intro I did. Those are the only 2 times I've ever written sheet music out, because it was for like a trombone quintet. Do I use music theory? Yes, I do use music theory. When I do a cover, I always want to make sure I know all of the chords and what's happening musically. That just helps me like noodle through and get through the songs a lot easier and figure out, like at this point I can pretty much make up like what is a 6th or what's a 3rd or what's a 7th or an octave interval relatively quickly, and that's because I just know the music theory behind the chord. Like if you're playing an E major chord, odds are your melody is probably already landing on an E and an A flat and a B. So you have 3 notes to kind of try to pick and choose from in the beginning rather than trying to guess out of 12 notes, if that makes sense. So music theory to me is definitely important to understand. How did you manage to learn and play so many instruments? I was the annoying band kid who just sat down and picked up every instrument in every given moment. And Mr. Calmer, that actually worked to my advantage in the future. So it was not just me being annoying. Haha. I don't think Mr. Calmer was ever annoyed. But any advice on learning to play trombone? How long it takes, what to learn? Mainly self-teaching as money and time is tight. So like, I believe, this is my personal opinion, but playing brass instruments is something you should really try to get the proper guidance to. I can make a whole hour video just on how to make a good sound, honestly. I teach music and I've been working with students for over a year and I'm still working very basic fundamentals with them. If I should make a video on that type of stuff, let me know. I'm open to it. I just want to see what people want me to do. Make sure you're learning how to use your air properly, I guess. So look up the breathing gym on YouTube and look up videos on how to buzz and how to place the mouthpiece. I believe those are the 2 main things. Like, if you fuck up either one of those, you can honestly do damage on your face, and you will struggle a lot when you don't have to. You'll be like, why can't I hit high notes? Why am I missing notes? Why is it not coming out clean? It's 90% of the time it's air. 10% of the time it's how you're setting the mouthpiece on your face. That's pretty much it. What advice do you have for an aspiring musician who wants to play in bands? Aspiring advice I have is go out and be part of your local music scene. Don't just be, the thing I hate the most are bands that like don't do anything. They just show up, they like form and whatever. They play a show here and there and they show up before their set, play, and then they leave. They don't talk to people, they don't do anything, and then like Real Big Fish goes on tour and then they message Real Big Fish like, can I open for your band? Like, no. Like Real Big Fish didn't just get big, like, you know, doing nothing. Like Less Than Jake didn't just like one day get signed to Capitol and then like, no, they toured, they booked, they promoted shows, they did the grind. The best part about DIY punk and like the music scene is being in a community and working together with each other. And that's how other genres do it so well. And I feel like ska bands don't do that as much. So like, if you're starting a band and you want to play with bands, the best thing you can do is go to shows, talk to people, meet people, get on shows, like show up for all the bands, promote, be part of your scene, build a community. So that when other bands are touring, they're like, hey, let's go to Gainesville. Bands come to Gainesville now because we have a lot of venues and we have a lot of good people doing good things. How do you come up with the original things you do with the song structures of your covers? So like, I basically try to find bands or songs. Like, I'll take a song and I'll be like, oh, I want to see what this would sound like if it was Skank and Pickle. So I'll take the cover and then I'll listen to Skank and Pickle and I'll like be like, all right, Skank and Pickle does a lot of this like rim shot deal. So I'll like, you know, when I'm doing the cover, I'll try to fit in that type of like rim shot, like syncopated rhythm into that. And basically I'm just trying to copy another band while doing this cover. Like, how would Skank and Pickle cover this song? How would Less Than Jake cover this song? How would the Tokyo Ska Paradise Orchestra cover this song? And that's pretty much how I do my arrangements. I'm not like really thinking of anything new. I'm basically just stealing from other bands. Something I learned while I was learning composition in school. Good composers are original. Great composers steal. Wait, how are you so awesome and how do you come up with all this stuff? You rock. Thank you so much. I don't know how I'm awesome. My parents are awesome, so I guess I might get it from them. What's the best way to start learning trombone? I already talked about that. When writing ska covers, how do you decide when and how much to use horns? Use horns only when it's necessary. If there's something else interesting going on, don't put horns there. You don't need to fill horns in the whole song. Like, if only one part of the song has horns, that's absolutely okay. You should be able to take the horns out of your song and the song should still be very listenable. If you're relying on the horns for the song to be good, it's not a good song, in my opinion. So, yeah, just if there's a good opportunity for a lead, definitely put horn in there, but you don't have to fit horn into everything. I've been thinking about doing a songwriting series as well, so if you're interested in songwriting stuff, I really want to talk about that type of stuff and like talk about how I wrote horn parts for Self-Care, the latest We Are the Union record, and other ska songs that I've written. So, all right, guys, 5 more questions. We're almost there. This video is so long, but thank you for powering through with me. First off, super happy for you, dude. I have 2 questions. 1, could you upload the song, Those Two Girls? How do you write about them? I played in a live stream. Yeah, that's actually on SoundCloud. So if I do not upload it or put the link somewhere, just yell at me in the comments until I do. It's called Gabrielle and Eliza. And 2, do you ever think you get Reed to embrace his Scafia days and start replaying some of the classics? I'd love to skank to those again, and I know you'd kill it on the horns. Thanks again, man. I don't think Reed will ever do it, but I mean, I'm down. I don't care. If Reed hit me up, I'll be like, yeah, let's get it. Let's put on this fedora. Let's pick it up. I don't know. Can you send your love to Duchess for me? I love them. Her name is actually Countess, not Duchess. But yes, I'm always sending my love to Countess. I thought you were cringy when you first started, but I'm glad you proved me wrong. You have really improved in doing some good for the modern ska scene. My question is, what direction do you see ska going? Like in the future, going for more of an emo vibe or ska punk coming back as a whole? So if you're talking about commercial success, I quite honestly think the only way ska will have commercial success again is if there's a resurgence of all of the music that was popular in the 90s, like pop punk, in our mainstream culture. Like right now, we have a lot going on in DIY emo. Like, you know, you have like Pure Noise Records doing a lot with like emo and pop punk. You have like Hopeless Records. You have Counterintuitive. You have all of these bands doing so much, like Fest and all this stuff. But like none of them are like at the mainstream level. You know, none of them have like their songs consistently in movies and on TV and stuff like that. There's a resurgence. It's gonna be definitely underground, on par with like all of the big bands and pop punk and emo and stuff like that. And I think it'll more than likely be kind of leaning more towards like the emo spectrum. Like, and like when I say emo is a huge spectrum of music. Don't even get me started on how much ground emo can cover. But yeah, I don't really think a band is going to get big again by doing the same exact thing that previous bands have done, because music never works like that. Bands don't just like, you know, a band doesn't form sounding exactly like Blink-182 and, you know, get big. Like you have Man Overboard get big, but Man Overboard was named after a Blink song, inspired by Blink. They don't sound anything like Blink, but you can tell the inspiration's there. And I think that's what needs to happen with ska. Do you ever consider something for more of a hip hop / R&B leaning genre? Covering something. Yes, I do. I did Redbone by Childish Gambino. That was, I think, the only R&B song I've ever covered. And I'm not opposed to it. I just haven't really done it. You know, I'm really sporadic with some of these covers sometimes. I've been thinking about doing Buy You a Drink by T-Pain. If that's something you want to hear, let me know in the comments below. Last question. Could you talk us through the process of how you make a video, right from having the idea to posting the finished video online? It's not an interesting process, but I guess I'll talk about it. I'll hear the song. I'll go, that could be a ska version. I already hear the horn part in my head. So I'll listen to the song a bunch. I'll look up the chords. I'll play the chords along with it. I'll like upstroke. I'll be like, all right, it needs to be faster or slower. Then I'll change the tempo up a little bit. I'll play it without playing to the song on guitar. And then if the drum set is set up, which right now it's not, I'll drum through the song a little bit, like it playing in my head, me just drumming ideas out, getting like the fills and stuff out, because I can play drums, plot twist. And then I'll go on to Logic and I'll write out the drums in MIDI. Once I write out the drums, I'll put all of the things like the kick in its respectable track, the snare, hi-hat, toms, cymbals. I'll mix it, EQ it, and then I'll track guitar to that, and then I'll track bass to that. And then once the guitar and bass is tracked, I'll set everything in the program, all the plugins and stuff like that, and then I'll track vocals or horns depending on the song. Sometimes the horns will throw me off of the vocals. Sometimes it's the other way around. So yeah, I'll track, you know, all the other stuff. You know, I just track the vocals like, you know, like this, and then I'll track the horns, you know, like this, and then you know, I'll just mix master. I'll film the video along to it. The only thing that I actually film live are the solos, because if you know anything about music recording, I can't possibly jump around the way I do and record at the same time. I hope I'm not blowing anyone's minds right now. But yeah, so then I'll do that, and then I'll go to a coffee shop in town and I'll edit together all of my videos in one day. And then, yeah, I'll set it up. I'll put it on the Google Drive early access for you Patreon users. And yeah, it's pretty much the whole process. It's pretty simple, pretty easy, nothing too crazy. I don't do a lot in post. And yeah, that's all I have for this Q&A. So once again, thank you so much for 50,000 subscribers on Skatunenetwork. It means so much that this channel is getting so much support. And I have a lot of cool stuff coming up. So once again, check out all my social media. Make sure you're following me everywhere. I'm kind of posting different content on all the social medias. A lot of cool stuff. You can probably see things early if you're following the right thing at the right time. And yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. And yeah, thank you very much.
A big thank you to all of you who've been watching and giving me views. Don't forget to like and subscribe and to follow on platforms alike. gonna finish.